Hello, everybody. It's George. Welcome back to the page. Uh, Yesterday, the women folk that do the editing for me, they wrestled me down, and no, I put up a good fight. Now I tried, but they were mean, and they done went and romped me down and changed my looks. Now the reason I got the phone covered up, I want to surprise you, but they said that I said I need to look like a mountain man. And they said, a mountain man's fine, but said you don't need to look like a caveman. So I put up a good fight, but it happened. They kept telling me it can go one or two ways. You can have it done and bruises all over you, or you can do it without the bruises. And, well, I got afraid and I let them just do what they had to do. But here's the new look. Be nice in the comments, and I hope it didn't scare nobody. I mean, I had a lot of ugly covered up there. They went and cleaned it up, and they went and shaved my head down and everything, and whew, it was rough. But what I was going to do today is I've had actually 3 or 4 people ask me if I knowed how to clean, an AR-15, and what I thought I would do is I found one that I could clean and use. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this video so I can, get it back where it belongs. But I've got everything set up, I think, to where you can see. But I'm gonna go ahead and, I'm not gonna strip it all to 100,000 pieces, but I'm gonna pull it down enough that, it's clean and it would be very usable. I don't think the gun's in that bad a shape to start with, but we'll see as we get into it. Okay, give me just a second and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back. This is the AR-15 we're going to clean today. Uh, I've done checked it. It is empty. There's no shells in it. The clip is empty and sitting over here. Please, before you clean or attempt to clean any gun, check it. Make sure it is empty. That's, a safety hazard, and we don't want nobody getting hurt. So be sure that, you do clean your firearms safely. Okay. This one here, I'm going to take, it's got a scope rail on it. It really doesn't need it or it needs to be took off and cleaned. And I'll do that. And I'm going to take this carrier handle off because there's a lot of gunpowder in there and I want to clean this up. And usually if it's in this area, it'll be underneath here. And we don't want that powder just sitting in there eating away at the gun. Because any kind of gunpowder is corrosive. But we'll start with taking this stuff off and getting it laid to the side so we don't have to deal with it while we're cleaning the gun. I'm going to take and loosen this nut. And right in here, this one has a Phillips screw. So I'm going to reach in here and take it loose, that way. But this here is a Stag Arms, if that matters to anybody. And the neat thing about this right here, it's got the Second Amendment on it. And I thought that was a real neat point about the gun. And it's actually been like printed, but it's laser printed in so it won't rub off. Okay. I'm going to put the nut back on this so I can find it when I go over to put it back together. But now if you look in this one, see how it's got that, can you see that hole? See, when you put that on there, you can still use your sights under your scope and, still be able to see your front sight. Or if your scope happens to be, knocked off or you drop the gun or something, you still can use your front sights. I do like that on this one. Okay, this one has a flash suppressor on the front of it. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off because I want to be able to get to the barrel with my cleaning rod. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. Oh, okay. I'm gonna take the carrier handle off, and so I can clean underneath it, and I can oil the sights and stuff. And I'm gonna lay that up there for right now. I can see gunpowder residue on that. I can see gunpowder residue on the bottom, so and right here. So I definitely want to get this cleaned up. Okay, right here, straight down below your we'll call it the cocking device, and right above your safety is in. You just push that in, and you just get a hold of it on the other side, pull it up, and that allows you to raise the gun to where you can actually, get this up to your all your assembly in here. Okay, now you should be able to take this one out and be able to separate the upper from the lower. I'm going to see if I can figure it out on this one. Looks to me like it just taps. So it does. So I'm just going to take and very gently tap it out. And it won't come all the way out, but it'll hold it like that in your lower. I'm going to lay the lower up here for now so I can clean it. Okay, I'm going to pull the carrier and the bolt out. And what you do is you just pull this out, raise this up, and your bolt will come out. Push this back in just a little bit and kind of push up on the front of it. And when it gets to a certain point there, it'll pop up and you can take it out. Now, I'm not going to take the forearm and everything off of it. It might ought to be, but I'm not going to do it right now because I'm just going to do a general maintenance cleaning. You can change this assist, the RAM assist on it, but I'm not going to today. But I'm going to go ahead and oil this rod with it's got the 22 cleaning swab on it. And what I'm going to make I'm not getting paid by this, and I'm no way affiliated with the company, but they make this Lucas gun oil. And I got this at O'Reilly's. Now, I love Lucas products, and I run them in my trucks, in my tractor, and even in my lawnmowers. And when I found Lucas gun oil, of course, I had to have it. Now, I'm going to lay the barrel down, and I'm going to run this into the barrel and out a couple times, and it will actually pull the gunpowder residue out of there, and you'll be able to inspect your riflings. Now, we know there's no bullet in this gun, so I'm going to look down the barrel and see what the riflings look like. And they still look new. Okay? I keep old socks and stuff that's got holes in them for gun cleaning rags and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more times through because, I mean, it was clean. But I noticed there was a lot of black on the front of this rod. And I'm going to look to make sure it's good and clean. And it is. Okay. When you look at this side here, we want to go in here and here and clean this. And you don't want to over oil an AR through here because of the powder, building up. But this one here looks pretty clean, and I'm gonna take this down to one rod. Now this is the way I do it. I am not no gunsmith. I am not no gun expert or nothing like that. This is just the way I do it, and I'm gonna run it around down in here and try just to clean everything and inspect everything as I'm doing it. I want to see if there's any excessive wear. Is there, a burr or anything like that? And, I don't see anything that's wrong in here. So, I do see a little bit on the bottom right there that it's been, you can see where it's been sliding. But when we reassemble it, we'll put just a drop of oil in there. And right here, I can see all over this the gunpowder residue. Okay, I've got this goop that removes glue and stuff. And I noticed the other day when I was cleaning some of the other rifles, it does a pretty good job of removing any kind of dust, gunpowder, and stuff like that. But it's called goof off. It gets glue and stuff off, and I just spray it on the rag. And then I'll just start scrubbing a little bit, not overly scrubbing. But when I see the gunpowder come off, that tells me that it does a pretty good job, and it did. It took the gunpowder right off there, or it's gunpowder residue. And, I want to make sure that that was clean. And right here, where your ejector port is, where your shells come out, you really want to kind of get that in this little, I don't know, some kind of little swing plate there. We want to make sure that it's good and clean and no gunpowder on it, because that'll cause it to rust. Okay, and where you see all this, I want to clean it too, because, when that comes out, if there's any gunpowder that comes back, it comes out on the gun here too. So we want to take our time and clean it, but you can clean it with any kind of powder cleaner that you have. It comes in your kits. Uh, try to find one that don't stink too bad if you're doing it in the house like I am. But I'm going to clean this here up real good and get rid of all the gunpowder I can get off of it, or the gunpowder residue, I guess the way you say it. But it also strips a lot of the old oil and stuff off of it, so you don't get a lot of oil buildup between, on your cleanings. So this one looks fairly clean. Uh, yeah, it looks real good. So I'm gonna lay this to the side. Now, with this here, you got a channel here, and it does get the same kind of gunpowder residue in it. Just spray it. I've got a toothbrush here that'll get down in there and clean that up real good. And we will have to oil all this, but we want to limit the amount of oil that goes on it, because it will make your AR jam up if you over oil it in certain places. Okay, and you want to look at each piece and inspect it and make sure that there's nothing excessively worn. Like, it could be like it's rubbing silver right through here real bad. And that would tell you there's something in the gun that's not exactly the way it was supposed to be, and that you need to figure out what's going on and fix it. Okay? There's two ways of doing this. Uh, I'm going to push this up just a little bit, and I've got this little wire. And I'm going to try to pull this pin out right here. And you want to lay it to the side, right up here where you don't lose it. And then right here, this little thing under your gas chamber, you want to push it forward and turn it. Well, it's not wanting to turn. Which is usually a pretty good sign. It's not been cleaned like it should be. So I'll work with it here for a second and see if I can get it out. Oh, tap your on the table and your firing pin will come out, and you can see that firing pin is pretty dirty. We'll clean it up, and let me see if that'll turn now. Yeah, it's going to turn now. Okay, when you turn it where it's turned this way in this boat, I don't know if I can get you to see it, but it was turned this way, and I turned it this way. And then you should be able to rotate it and pick it up out of there. Don't drop it. Well, I dropped it, but there it is. Okay, I'm going to lay it over here because it is dirty. And then I'm just going to pull this out, and it has not been cleaned in a long time. And it will need to be cleaned properly. Okay, right here you have two Allen head screws. I'm not going to take this off, but this is the gas chamber that works your bolt back and forth. And it should have little dents knocked in it right here, so these two bolts can't turn. So I'm not going to do that because the gun shoots fine and it works fine. But if it didn't, we might have to go in here and clean this gas chamber up. But I will take and blow through this to make sure there's nothing in it. And there's not. Okay, and you can see right here, that's really got a lot of gunpowder stuff on it. So I'm going to lay this up here. Where's my sock? I'm going to spray this. And I'm going to clean this up as best I can. And down here in these little grooves, I'm going to give it a little squirt. And I'm going to take my toothbrush and get in here and clean it up to make sure that there's no gunpowder residue in it. But I want to thoroughly clean it and make sure that, it's when I put it back together, it is clean. But clean all the surfaces, even down in the cracks. That's what the toothbrush is for. And I do have Q-tips here if I need them. Okay. I want to wipe this off and remove any gunpowder. I know I keep saying that, but that's the most important part. Keeping this clean is what keeps your gun shooting. And if you don't feel safe taking this apart, take it to a gunsmith. I don't know what they would charge to clean it, but I'm sure it's not that bad expensive. But I would do that before I would let my gun get gummed up and make a failure to shoot when you really need it the most, or even if you're out just shooting around and plinking, you know, you don't want your gun to not shoot. Okay, I'm gonna take and clean this up and get all the gunpowder off of it that I can. And always inspect everything as you do it for excessive wear, because you know, it could cause a failure with your gun. And another thing is you know, I would buy a couple of these here firing pins and stuff and have them put up for your gun, because if they ever do get to do what they want with the AR-15, they may end up doing the parts the same way, and it'd be getting awful difficult to find your parts. And I'd rather spend a couple $100 and know that I had the pieces and parts that I needed for mine. Okay, now right here, there's a little ear sticking down right here, and there's a little push pin in the top of it. You want to take and mash that in and try to push that out with your well, it moved, but I didn't get it. I'm gonna take this wire and see if I can get to push out with this wire. But you want to hold pressure against it, because that's what lines it, keeps it lined up. And okay, it's coming out. Don't drop this thing because it's little and it is under a little bit of pressure. But we're gonna lay this over here on the towel, and we're gonna take this apart, and we're going to. You can see it's got a spring, and it's got a. You want to make sure that you get that spring back in, but I still want to give it a cleaning. And I do want to oil this little pin when I put it back in. Okay, I'm just going to take the brush and re-go over it all, and to make sure that it's clean. We do want to put a little oil on this, but not excessive. Okay, I've got this, and right here where the pin goes in it, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here on the side where the pin went through, I'm going to put a drop of oil on each side, and that'll help it go in, the pin go back in too. Okay, now I'm ready to start reassembling. So it's the same thing, just in reverse. Take and put this back together, mash it down till it lines that hole up. I don't know if I can get you to see that, but it lines that little hole up right there. And then I'm going to put my pin back in it and release the pressure, and that way it holds it in place. And you want to make sure that that little pin is about even on both sides. Now, mine put out a little extra oil there, so I'm going to take that little bit of oil and I'm going to put just a drop or two on this, and I'm just going to rub it with my fingers to give it just a little bit of oil. Not a lot, just a little bit. Oh, I forgot I haven't cleaned this yet. Okay, spray the rag. We'll clean the firing pin real good, and look for excessive wire on it. Uh, This one looks really good, but if it was me, I would have a spare, and that way if this one goes bad, you know you have another one, or it probably wouldn't hurt to have 3 or 4 if you really like your gun. But you know, it would be bad to get into an altercation, we'll call it, and your firing pin break, and you just got a club because you didn't have a way to change it. So I would recommend, you know, eBay or any of the, you know, you can order it straight from the manufacturer. That's what I would do. If this been a Stag Arms, I would order it straight from Stag. But you can see it come real clean. It's shiny now and it's not black. And this piece here that I took out, I'm gonna clean it real quick while I have it. And we'll get it real good and clean. Now I will put just a dab, I mean a dab of oil on this. And anything that moves needs oil. I'm looking for any kind of excessive wear or a crack or anything like that, and I don't see it with this. Okay. Now I'm gonna put just a drop of oil back on this right here. Well, it's actually got a place on the boat where you can oil it if you want to, but I'm just gonna put a drop on it to kind of help everything go into place. And you want to make sure that you line the hole up right here in the boat carrier. I'm gonna put the firing pin back in it. Just give me just a second. It keeps wanting to fall. Okay. Now, if you go to put this in, remember it sets to the back and front like that. If it won't go in, you need to rotate it 180 degrees. So there it is. Okay, I'm gonna see if it'll go in, and it did. Now I'm gonna rotate it this here back around like it's supposed to be. Well, it didn't fully drop in. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can turn it now. Doesn't seem like it's going back into place like I want it to. So I'm gonna take it out and rotate it once all the way around to see if that's the problem. But do remember, I'm not a gun expert. I'm just a guy that likes to mess around and clean and work on guns. I've not had no kind of formal training or nothing like that. That definitely is not it. So we'll turn it back around and see if we can't get that hole in a little better spot. Okay. But I figure if you have a gun, you already know how to clean it. Okay, right there, it's turning like I want it to. Come on, guy. Work with me. It should not be that hard to turn back. Okay, if you pull it all the way back, it'll turn. That was me. And it locks it into place so your boat can't come back out. Now, I'm going to put just a drop of oil on this firing pin and rub it just a little bit because, you know, it's got to work back and forth too, but I'm not putting a lot, just a little bit. And you just drop it back into the carrier. And then you just put, well, I need to clean this little pin, so give me just a second. Okay. Then I'm just going to push the pin back in, and that will hold the firing pin from being able to fly out. Shouldn't be that hard to go back in. So I'm going to pull it back out and see what happened. Okay, there it went in like it's supposed to. And I'm going to, this here, if you mash it just a little bit, makes it easier to go and start in that hole. And then you just push it in. It'll go one way. There it went. Okay. So it's in there now. And that puts the assembly to all this back together. And I'm going to go into the lower because we haven't done no cleaning on it. I'm just going to take this rag where it's soaked and I'm just going to wipe everything and try to get all the residue off of it that I can. And even on the sides, you know, I want to run this on it because it does strip oil and stuff off of it, and I will re-oil it before I put it up. And you know, it does kind of take some of the shine off of it, but that was oil. But like I said, you don't want to over oil it, but you want to oil anything that moves. Okay, I'm going to clean this. Now, I'm not going to break down the trigger and all that. I don't think it needs it. From what I see, it's not that bad down in there. But, like, if you look right down here in the front of this, where this thing's sticking up, there's a spring down there and it's on a pin. So I will put just a dab of oil on each side. and a dab of oil down on the trigger assembly. Not much, just a dab. Okay. Now that this is clean, you'll see that there's a little wire right here at the top of this once you get it clean. So where it shows wire, I will put a drop of oil and just rub it on this to get it down to just a fine coat of oil. Okay, where the magazine goes into the gun, you've got this little spring right here that grabs the magazine where when you mash it, it releases it. That's what you need to oil it so that it works correctly. So what I'll do is I'll mash it out enough to where this little flat side here sticks out, and I'll put just a drop of oil right there, work it just a second, and wipe off any excess oil. And right here on this, there is a pin in there, so I'm going to put one little drop of oil on one side of it and let it work its way in to where that pin is, and I'll wipe off the excess oil there. Okay. Everything looks good. I'm still checking for any kind of, see if there's any kind of cracks or breaks or anything like that in it, and I do not see any. Okay, just for safety reasons, I do want to relook this one over, this top over, and to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. And it does appear to be. Everything still, everything looks good and clean. So, I'm gonna run and get something real quick, and I'll be right back. But just give me a second, and we'll reassemble this and put everything back together and clean it and oil it. But let me run and grab something to drink. I feel like I've swallowed popcorn. But I'll be right back. Okay, I'm sorry for the break, but I was about to thirst out on you. Okay, I'm going to apply a little bit of oil. You can see right here, there's a wire on this. There's a little bit here. Usually right through here on your gas chamber, there'll be wire, so we want to put just a little bit of oil on it. And then we're going to put just a thin coat on all of it. But this is where the most movement is happening. That's why it shows that shiny silver look. Over here, on the side of the gas break, the gas tube. Okay. Right down here on the lower end of the bolt, I can see there's a little wire, so I'm going to put a drop of oil there. Give it just a little extra. And this gully right here. But now we do not want to overlube. We just want to just put enough to put a thin coat on it. And see a lot of people do that. I'm just going to go ahead and just put a drop right here. Now, they make 3 holes. One here, 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 and here. You can actually put 1 drop in each one, and that will lube everything in here, including your firing pin. Now, I'm just going to take and what oil's on my finger. Well, I'm going to put just enough that it puts just a shiniest little bit of a gloss, thin coat of oil on it, so it's all lubricated. Okay, I know this little gap in the front right here is a carrier, as a guide, so I will put a drop of oil and run the toothbrush in there to spread it out. At the back here, there is two, so we want to, make sure they get lubed. Okay. Now, we're going to take this, put it in with the point down, and wait for it to slide into place, and right there it did. Okay, then I'm going to put the bolt in. We're going to put it together to where it goes into the gun. I'm going to put a drop of oil down in here because that is a place that needs to be lubed a little bit. Okay. And then my hand don't always do what I want it to do. Since I broke my wrist. Oh, that's sticking up. Okay. And I'm going to take this over to my vice. So I know the next question is there a torque spec we need to go to longer screws that you just get inside? Yes, there is. Okay. That torque range is between 50 there it went together, and you'll hear the click. Okay. You want to make sure that you still see a lubrication right here. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the lower to the upper. And when I get it to the pin will line up, I'm just going to push the pin through. Then I'm going to drop the end to match into the upper on the other side. And there it's reassembled. Okay. Now, if you remember, I said we want to wipe this off because it does show some gunpowder residue on it. So I want to clean this up before I put the other pieces back to it. Okay, now I'm going to just put a drop of oil on this toothbrush, which is not necessary, but I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to kind of rub this. I'm going to rub it with my fingers. Okay. I'm going to put this on, but where this has a screw out here on each side, and that's what actually holds it, I'm going to put a drop of oil on the threads because if it gets any kind of rain or something, then I'm going to put just a drop in here. Okay. I'm going to make sure that this has a flip side where you can go big or small. I want to make sure that they're working. I want to make sure this here turns freely, and it does. And this here, I want to make sure it turns freely, but put it back exactly where you had it. Don't give it 25 cranks. Okay. I'm going to put the carry handle back on it. Make sure it's on there good and tight. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the scope piece back on because I do believe it will have a scope later. And, you know, if you put it there, put it back on, you know where it's at. Like I mentioned before, I already have a bunch of grease. And, well, okay. I always put the longer side forward because that levels the scope rail. When you put it on, it'll be level. And put your nut back down here underneath. I'm going to catch this with the screwdriver, okay? Now, I got big fat fingers, so, you know, things like this is a little hard, but I'm going to push this up just enough to be able to get that nut under it to where I can get it started threading up there. Hold on just a second. I wanted to leave it where you can see it, but as I said, I got big fat fingers. Okay, now I'm just going to screw this in and pull it up tight. Okay, you do want to make sure that's tight because when you put your scope on it, you don't want your scope to wiggle. But that's basically it. Now, when if you know, when I clean mine, I would find a dry place on this sock, put just a couple drops of oil on it, and go ahead and rub the outside of the gun, just putting a fine coat of oil on it to keep it from rusting. That's up to you. Nobody recommends it. It's just, I think it looks better, and I think it protects the gun, so that's what I do. But we'll do the other side real quick. Okay, now this little spring door right here, I'm going to put one drop of oil on this spring so as it works, it'll oil it, and I'm going to put one on each end so that it does receive lubrication. Okay, I'm going to latch it shut, wipe it down real good, but there it is. Oh, there it is. It's assembled, and it's ready to go. I'll put a little drop of oil up here on these threads on the barrel where the flash suppressor goes on. Not a lot again, just enough to kind of make sure that it, you know, screws on smoothly. But we'll go ahead and put the flash suppressor on. But now, anytime, you know, you're cleaning your guns, you could take and, if your kids are old enough, now I'm not talking about a 5 or 6 year old child, which, you know, I was taught at about 12-year-old how to clean and disassemble my gun. So anytime I used it, that was part of my responsibility, was to clean and reassemble it. But you take and teach your children gun responsibility, and teach them that, you know, this ain't the gun that's in their video game. That this one, don't let it, you know, somebody don't reset in a new area and he comes back to life because he doesn't. And there's a lot of children, I believe, watches them video games, and they think that, you know, if they shoot somebody like they do in the video game, They just respawn somewhere else, and that's not true. Okay, give me just a second, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I have it reassembled. Everything's good to go. And, I hope this helps somebody. I know there's a lot of these guns getting sold, but nobody's teaching them how to clean them or anything else. And trust me, cleanness of these guns are the life of them. And you take this gun, it's now cleaned, it's old, it's ready to go. And anytime it's shot, let's say, depends on how many times you shoot, but it ought to be checked, clean, oiled, and make sure there's no malfunctions, there's no excessive wire and stuff like that on it. But I hope this helps the people that wanted me to do this and they can see how it's done. And I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I thank you for your time, and y'all have a good day. Have a blessed day. Be good to each other, and we'll see you on the next video.